The Beyond the Fame podcast is fed by Lido Pizza. Lido Pizza never cuts corners. For menu and locations, visit LidoPizza.com. And of course, this podcast would not be possible without our longtime title sponsor, the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. September entertainment includes Kenny G on September 5th and One Night of Queen on September 6th. Details and tickets at HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor and attend a show. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. The DC Jazz Fest returns this Wednesday through Sunday, including Grammy winner Marcus Miller on Saturday at the Wharf in Southwest DC. I spoke with Miller about his prolific career working with Miles Davis, Luther Vandross, Roberta Flack, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, and Mariah Carey, as well as TV shows like Saturday Night Live and movies like Spike Lee's School Days, where he co-wrote The Butt. Hey, Marcus Miller. Hey, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Hey man, glad to be here. How you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to talk to you. You're a legend of jazz, my friend. And we should tell everyone you're coming to the DC Jazz Festival. The festival itself runs August 27th through the 31st. You specifically will be performing August 30th down on the water there on the wharf in Southwest DC.
Yeah.
So this definitely isn't your first time. I remember seeing you on the bill many years, right? Do you know what year this is for you for DC Jazz Fest?
I haven't been in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe my second or third.
Okay.
We usually do up in Silver Springs, the Capital Jazz Festival, where we come.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a journey. We started at Blues Alley,
In
like
Georgetown. Yeah.
yeah, like the famous, jazz club there. And sometimes we play, it's the DMV, so sometimes we play the Birchmere
Yeah.
there in Alexandria. And then now the Wharf. I haven't been there in a while, so I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, and there's a pretty big lineup. I know Branford Marsalis will be there, I believe. Layla Hathaway.
Yeah.
I think I saw one of the early, the posters that sadly he passed just this month. But I think Eddie Palmieri was supposed to be there this year.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
man. We're
so
gonna
that's it.
miss him. My goodness, man. That's you want to talk about an icon. Whew.
Absolutely, absolute icon. But you will all be playing in his honor, and we still get you. We still get Branford Marsalis. We still get Layla Hathaway. There's a ton of
Yeah.
Ron Carter. There's a bunch of great
Um,
performers. And I believe at least the day you're there, let's paint a visual picture for him there out on the water. I believe it's noon to 10 different artists cycling through all day out there on the
yeah,
water. Like,
yeah.
do you think that's just going to be a cool vibe? People can kind of stop by all day long.
Oh man, it's gonna be a beautiful day of music. I've been down there to the wharf, and my son used to live down there, so I'm very familiar with it. And yeah, man, if I weren't a musician, but I'm just a music lover, I would definitely be there.
You said your son lives there? I didn't know your son lived in
He used
DC.
to, he used to, he lives in here in LA now, but
Okay.
he lived in DC for a couple of years. Yeah,
Oh, so he probably hit the Anthem and Pearl Street Warehouse and all those music clubs there on the water there for many times.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right, well, get him back down to watch Dad play. Come on, DC Jazz Fest.
That's a good idea, man. Come on, man. Come hang out in your old digs.
He can show you around.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. Well, on a serious note, a lot's changed since your son and I used to live down in there too, but lots
Mhm.
changed in DC, like crazy times politically, like with the president recently sent in the National Guard and the DC Mayor Bowser is pushing back, trying to keep the DC police force some autonomy there. The
Yeah.
president just was saying they're trying to take slavery references out of the Smithsonian. Like DC's changed since I've lived there, but are you
Yeah.
cognizant of that when you're sitting there playing? Do you comment in between songs or do you just try to let the
You
music do
know,
the healing, or what's your approach?
yeah, I think for me the music is really about healing. I mean, not to like try to I'm never trying to avoid stuff.
Yeah.
But the most important thing that music can do, I think, is really cause people to recognize how universal we are and
Mhm.
what music can do to help. I'm an artist for Peace with UNESCO, which is
Yeah.
like the cultural um, arm of the UN.
Yeah.
And so I'm all over the world, man. They'll send me to Brazil, they'll send me to Russia. Um, they don't actually send me. I mean, they follow my tour,
Sure.
but I tell them where I'm going to be. And then they say, can you stop by the school in southern Russia? Can you stop by this place in Paris?
Wow.
So, musicians have been ambassadors and messengers of peace since Dave Brubeck, Dizzy Gillespie, Duke Ellington. They got
Yeah.
sent, they went to Japan. It took them like 2 days to get there because there
Yeah.
were no planes that could fly that long.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm proud to be part of that tradition. And so, yes, I do music and make sure people know this music is to help combat the craziness that's going on today.
Absolutely. Music has seen us through so many tough times as a country and as a people. So yeah. So keep
Absolutely.
keep doing it. Keep doing it. We need you. Well, I would love to paint whenever I have someone on. I like to tease the actual event you're doing, and we can loop it back at the end if you want. But I also love to sort of remind them some of your amazing journey and your own personal history. I know you're born in Brooklyn, New York in '59. So what did you listen to growing up? I know your cousin was a jazz pianist, Wynton Kelly. So was it a family tradition to listen to jazz as far back as you can remember?
Uh, when the whole family was together, yeah,
Yeah.
we meaning aunts and uncles and all that, uh, we used to have concerts, just the family. The family was so big that we could have concerts for ourselves in the basement of
Play
my
for yourself.
grandfather's.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at home, uh, when my dad was home, he's playing the piano, and I'm hearing Bach, Brahms, Rachmaninoff,
Yeah.
and hymns,
Wow.
right? Episcopal hymns.
Yeah.
When my mom was commandeering the turntable, then I'm hearing Ray Charles, I'm hearing Chubby Checker, I'm hearing like, you know, 1960s R&B.
I like how you call it when mom is commandeering the turntable. Hey, mom's on
Yeah,
the ones
meaning
and
like,
twos,
okay, enough.
spinning
Smith,
chubby
Smith
checker.
Jackson. Okay, I'm gonna put some Ray Charles, uh, I Can't Stop Loving You on and
Ah,
stuff.
I
And
made up
so
my mind. Ah, what
exactly,
a song.
exactly. So
Banger.
that song is still in my bones from hearing my mom play it.
Yeah.
When we went, my grandfather, my father's father, was a minister for an African Orthodox Episcopal Church,
Oh, cool.
which is a church that was formed in the West Indies by Marcus Garvey.
Oh, wow.
And my grandfather was a colleague of Marcus Garvey, which is why my dad is William Marcus and I'm William Marcus
That's
also.
where you
So
get
there
the
is a
Marcus. There you
connection all
go.
along.
That's awesome.
Yeah. My grandfather was a minister. Now they're in Brooklyn and he had a church. And so we would be there. Like I said, after service, we'd be downstairs. All my aunts, all my father's sisters sang. My father's cousin was Wynton Kelly, like you mentioned. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sitting there, sitting next to Wynton while he's playing, adding my super special high notes at 4 years old. And
That's
he's
so
he's
great.
tolerating me. So it was a very musical family. It took me a long time before I realized it. That wasn't the case for everybody else's family. It was just very natural to me.
I love it. Well, they might have been tolerating you, but we've been more than tolerating. We've been loving. Bring it on, bring it on. So, how do you? All right. So then you're in Brooklyn and you're coming up, learning your chops. How do you get plucked and chosen for the SNL band? You're there from
Oh, wow.
'79 to '81. How does that even happen?
Yeah, we were in Brooklyn for 10 years, my 10 years, and then at age 10 we moved to Jamaica, Queens, which is a very
Mm,
cool neighborhood. Every block had a band rehearsing in the basement,
that's cool.
getting ready for the talent show that was going to happen at the middle school down the street. So it's a very musical situation. I started playing bass there. Up until that point, I was playing clarinet. And
Yeah.
so anyway, uh, started getting into the bass. So I'm playing clarinet in school, classical music,
Mhm.
band music, and then I'm playing the bass like in party bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I met a drummer named Omar Hakim in high school, right? We went to a school called the High School of Music and Art, which is now called the LaGuardia School.
Okay.
Um, if you remember seeing a movie from the late 70s, early 80s called Fame,
Yeah, of
this is
course.
this is the school that was depicted in that movie. There were two campuses, one in Midtown Manhattan, the other uptown in Harlem. We went to the Harlem one, which was called Music and Art,
Wow.
Musicians and Artists. The one in Midtown was musicians and dancers, right?
Wow.
Anyway, I met a lot of great musicians, young, great musicians, because all the talented, musically talented kids ended up at this school.
Yeah.
Omar Hakim was one of them. And, from Omar, he introduced me to greater Jamaica, Queens. Up until that point, I knew the blocks, the 5 blocks where I grew up, but
Yeah.
Omar introduced me to all the bad
The
musicians
wider, yeah.
in Jamaica, Queens, Bernard Wright, Donald Blackman, Tom Brown, uh, Lenny White. It turns out that Lenny White, the incredible drummer who played with
Yeah.
Freddie Hubbard and Miles Davis and Chick Corea, and then has his own incredible career.
Yeah.
He was there. He was a mentor. So I started getting this really wide education.
Mhm.
Eventually, I got into studio work, and I could do studio work pretty well because I played clarinet, so I could read music really well.
Like a session
Most
musician,
times
you
who
mean?
play guitar or bass, they don't
Yeah.
really, they learn, how to play party music or,
Sure.
pop music, and they don't need to learn how to read. But if you play classical clarinet, you're reading every day.
Yeah,
So,
you know how to read it. Yeah.
I ended up in the studio scene. That's when I met all these musicians, some of whom were in the Saturday Night Live band. So
Mm.
when they needed to audition a bass player, Buddy Williams, another um, drummer friend of mine, recommended that I go down there and audition. I think I was 18 or 19 years old. I got the gig.
Just a kid.
Incredible gig, man. It was a year after John Belushi had passed. So the
Yeah.
first year, Saturday Night Live was kind of picking up the pieces,
Yeah.
right? And then the second year I was there was the year that Eddie Murphy showed up,
Right. He
Joe
came in what,
Piscopo.
80, I think? Yeah.
It
And
was
he was
80.
just a kid too. He was like a late teenager too, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were close to the same age, if not the same age.
But
And
you could
not far
tell.
from each other.
You could tell. You're like, this guy is my age, but he's insanely funny. He's gonna be a superstar.
There was no doubt
Yeah.
that he was going places.
Yeah.
There was a writer's strike that happened right after like 3 episodes or four, something like that. And you could see, we had to shut down for a little while. You could see him just pacing the hallways at NBC, just go, come on, end the strike so I can get back to doing my thing.
I gotta get out there. I gotta make people laugh.
Strike ended and he got out there and he sure enough made people laugh. So
Wow.
anyway, that's how I got involved. That's a long answer to how I got involved in SNL.
Are you kidding me? I'm eating it up. This is fantastic. That's so cool. You were there during Eddie Murphy and Bill Murray and Gilda Radner. Like it was a cool time.
Yeah, it
Um,
was a great time. Yeah.
so okay, so that you're doing TV work and like you're saying, you're also doing session stuff.
Mhm.
You're in studio work too.
Mhm.
How does the first actual, your solo album suddenly, right, in '83, and then your second one, self-titled Marcus Miller '84? But how do you actually get signed? To let's give this kid a shot to make his own album.
Well, I'll give you a snapshot of my week in like the early 80s.
Yeah.
Um, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I would be on the road with Roberta Flack, Luther Vandross, who was a great
Yep.
studio background singer at the time,
At the time, yeah.
recommended me for that gig.
Yeah.
So we're on the road Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes Thursday. We had to get back in town for Friday, Saturday Night Live rehearsal, right? And
Yeah.
then we do that. Saturday, we do the show. You got to show up for Saturday Night Live. You have to show up at 11 a.m. Because there's going to be a run through at 7. You have to do the rehearsals. There's going to be a run through at 7, and then there'll be a little break, and then you do the actual live show
Yeah.
at 11.
So for you, it's from New York. It's Saturday morning.
Yeah, Saturday, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so anyway, Sunday, you get yourself back together. The next Monday, I'm on a recording session for anybody from Paul Simon to McCoy Tyner to Grover Washington Jr. to Aretha Franklin,
Yeah.
right? We did a lot of work with Aretha because Luther and I became buddies in the Roberta Flack band.
Yeah.
And, we started recording music for him for his solo album.
Mm-hmm.
So his album took him a long time to get signed, but once he did,
Yeah.
exploded.
Oh yeah.
Now we're writing music for Luther's albums. Now we're writing music for Aretha Franklin because Clive Davis said, hey, you're a Aretha Franklin fan, Luther. Why don't you produce her? Busy. David Sanborn, who I met in the Saturday Night Live band, I'm writing music for him. And when I'm not in the studio with Luther or Roberta, I'm in the studio with Luther,
Man.
with David Sanborn. Then I got the call from Miles Davis,
Yeah.
right? And I'm playing in his band, and I'm literally recording with him and then running up the stairs in the same studio to put some bass on somebody else's album.
That's
So what I'm
wild.
trying to paint is a picture of complete madness. But
Where did you sleep in all this? I guess Sunday was
well,
your
I
one
mean, since I
recovery
was
day.
20, 21 years
Yeah.
old, this was like heaven for a young
Yeah.
musician,
Yeah.
Anyway, in that period, I decided to do an album. The problem with that album, if you would call it a problem, is that I was a studio musician. So I was a chameleon. I could play the bass in this style, for
Yeah.
this musician, and then I'd switch, play in a different style, and then I'm playing with Luther, and I'm playing with Miles. Okay, who am I, right?
Ah, right.
So those
It's
albums,
your
although
identity. Yeah, yeah.
I enjoy listening to them, but the difference between like a studio musician and an artist is that artist has a really specific point of view,
Sure.
right? He has a way he looks at the world, she looks at the world. They have a way of expressing music so that you instantly recognize that's them.
And only you have that. Each of us has that's what's
Only
special.
only
Yep.
you as who you are can do that. So I stopped for a while after two albums. Worked with Miles really extensively. You know, we did a couple of albums. We did a movie soundtrack, worked with Luther, blah, blah, blah. When it got to be like 1990, I said, okay, I think I know who I am clearly now. And I started again. That album was called The Sun Don't Lie.
Right.
And that's probably, I don't know, 15 albums ago. But I've
Yeah.
been working off of that launching pad since then.
I love it. There's so much in between there that I want to unpack. So I'm gonna try to pick and choose my spots. But actually, I appreciate you doing that though. By the way, because it gave us a idea of your schedule Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like it's intense. So I'm gonna try to follow up on a couple of the points you made in there.
Mhm.
Let's jump in with Miles Davis real quick. 'Cause I know you were like the main songwriter and producer on a couple of his out, like Tutu in '86, Music from Siesta in '87. Amanda in '89. Am I saying that right? Amanda.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, my love, Amanda, yeah.
yeah. What I was gonna say, what did you learn from Miles? But let's flip it. What did he learn from you? You know, it was
My job
symbiotic.
with Miles was because his directive was he wanted to do something new.
Yeah,
And if you know about Miles, he was always searching for
yeah.
the next thing.
All right, pushing,
Uh,
pushing. Yeah,
upset a lot of fans who loved what the last thing was,
yeah.
but his this is just who he was. So mid 80s, he was looking to do something different. And one of the executives from Warner Brothers, Tommy LaPuma, Tommy called me and said, "We signed Miles. He wants to do something different. Do you have anything?" And he played me a demo that George Duke had done, the incredible George Duke,
Yeah,
which was very modern sounding. You know, it had like synthesizers and
yeah.
drum machines. I'm like, ooh, this sounds very modern. Okay, this is where we're going. So I jumped in, and the first demo I recorded was Tutu,
Mhm.
and my vision in Tutu was I want it to look like Miles Davis, who played bebop in the 40s, cool jazz in the 50s, modal jazz in the 60s, fusion in the 70s. What what does he look like walking down the street experiencing New York now in 1985, right? With this was the beginning of the tech age, you know,
Yeah,
so there's all sorts of digital stuff going on and
yeah.
the drum machines. And when you walk down the street in New York in 85, all you heard were gated snare drums. That's what they call them, the ones that go. So I'm like, what would Miles look like walking down the street with all this stuff coming at him? Never mind the traffic and all that stuff,
I
right?
love this idea because when you think
But
walking down New York Street, you think of like 70 back in the '70s. It's like it's the Isaac Hayes Shaft
right,
or
right,
Travolta and BJ.
right.
That's the '70s walking through New York.
Yeah,
You're in '85 and it's a different
yeah.
sonically entirely.
This is Herbie Hancock's Rocket. This
Exactly.
this is B-boys breakdancing.
Yeah.
You know, this is afros with a flat top. So, but I also wanted it to contain elements of his past, right?
Yeah.
So if you listen to Tutu, you'll hear voicings, harmonic voicings from Birth of the Cool. You'll hear the instrumentation, you'll hear soft brass. I tried to kind of bring this guy who had all this history into what was the present
You
in
sprinkle
1980.
that older stuff in there into the
Yeah.
present. Okay.
So he would dig it. He'd come in after I laid down some tracks and go, "Oh man, that reminds me of J.J. Johnson, you know, on the trombone, you know." So, you know, the most incredible thing I learned was just hearing him tell
Yeah.
the stories in between takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything would remind him of something else, man. And he was in a very clear period of
He
his
was
life.
picking up what you were putting down and it was sparking story after story.
Exactly.
That's awesome, man. That's I mean,
Exactly.
that's all time stuff. You're going to cherish that forever. All right. Well, so you're working with Miles Davis on the albums. You did your own couple albums, but I'm a big movie guy myself. So before we leave the 80s, I got to hit Spike Lee's School Days in '88. There's the DC Go Go tie in,
Mhm.
Experience Unlimited doing debut, and you co write the thing. Any insights
Yeah.
that you can give us on on working with EU and putting that together, and then on the back end, how pleased Spike was when he tried to put it in the movie.
Well, I'll start with Spike because this was a this was a something I wrote with instructions. In other words, Spike called me and said, "Hey, I'm doing my second movie. It's gonna be at a HBCU, and there's gonna be a pool party with these big gals with bikinis on, and I need a song that's gonna become the dance sensation across the nation." And he said, and I need it to be called The Butt, and I want you to produce it on this go-go band that I love
Wow.
out of DC called EU.
Yeah.
So I had my marching orders
There's your parameters. Go.
and my exactly and my parameters and my songwriting partner at that time was my dear friend Mark Stevens, who's Shaka Khan's younger brother.
Mhm.
And we had a band at the time called Jamaica Boys that we were recording. But I said, hey man, we got to write this tune, but I have most of it, but come vibe with me on the lyrics. So we
Nice.
jump in my car and drive around New York, just coming up with silly stuff. This was 1987, 88, so you couldn't be as explicit as you probably could today. You know,
Sure.
everything had to be kind of double entendres. Everything had to
Of
be
course.
subtle, but still fun.
You
So
got you
then
had to
you
be
get,
creative with it. Yeah.
yeah, so you get phrases like
Double, triple
backfield and
meanings
motion,
to the
you
words.
know,
Yeah.
and yeah. So anyway, we did the demo, send it to Spike. He said, I love it. Record it. We recorded it. He says, I'm sending down the whole cast to your studio. Okay, I said, okay. So we got everybody in the studio. We played the song on the big speakers and put up two mics and literally recorded everybody partying to the song. So if you put the needle on the vinyl or if you just press play, it's an instant party, right? Because the party's on the record. So even if you're by
Yeah.
yourself listening to it, you feel like you're in the middle of a party.
You're at a
So
party. Yeah.
yeah, and they we had a couple of different versions of mixes. CNC Music Factory did a great mix on it. And the next thing I know, man, the thing was number one on the charts. Spike was very pleased. EU was very pleased. Spike was pleased on two levels. One is because it was so successful, but the other one was, of course, it stirred controversy because some blacks felt like that's the last thing we need is the black musicians talking about the butt, right?
Mm,
So there was
I
this
got
big
you.
debate in I forgot the name of the magazine, um, Harper's or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, this guy going, we don't need this, and Spike, make your
Lots
own
of
movie if you don't
writing
like.
think pieces about is this good for the culture, etc. Yeah.
Is this good for the culture? The culture apparently didn't have any say in the matter, because that would have settled it
Yeah.
right away. Because I can play that song today,
Oh.
and everybody who was,
Oh yeah.
from 12 to
Yep.
35 back in 87,
Oh yeah.
they're out of their seats,
Dancing. They
Yeah.
played. Remember, they were doing it at the dang Oscars a couple years ago. They played it and people
And
dancing.
They asked, was it Glenn Close?
Yeah. Yeah.
They asked Glenn Close. They said, because Questlove was DJing.
That's
uh,
right. That's right. Yep.
because they didn't, they had still had like a clamp down Oscars because of COVID.
Pandemic.
And
Yeah.
Questlove was the orchestra, and he played that song, and somebody put a mic in her face and said, "Do you know what this is?" And she spit off all these facts about the DMV and Sugar Bear, the lead singer for EU, and everyone was like, "What does Glenn Close? How does she know about the butt?" And everybody from DC said she's got an honorary pass to attend any barbecue in the summer in DC for as long as she wants because she's now an honorary go-go lady, So it
That's
was,
hilarious. But that just shows
I
how
didn't see it.
ubiquitous that was. Everybody who lived during that time knows that song.
I didn't see the Glenn Close. I didn't see the Oscars that
Yeah.
year, but my phone rang off the hook the next morning. It was
You could
nuts.
probably find it on YouTube or something, but that's
Mhm.
hilarious. But and you know what? And to settle, just to put a pin in that, the think pieces of what it was it for the Spike Lee the very following year made a little something called "Do the Right Thing." I think he did the social commentary thing. Okay.
He's already very outspoken
Oh,
about
already. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Before
those
that.
matters. So that was just fed right into his whole thing
Yeah.
and helped lead into
Yeah.
do the right thing.
Well,
Absolutely.
I could be wrong, but I think even in school days, same as Do the Right Thing, I'm pretty sure there's characters saying, wake up. Like he's trying to wake us up before everyone else took the word woke and tried to make it a negative. No, he was
Oh, yeah, yeah,
woke is meaning
yeah.
we're awake to injustices. Anyway, we're not going to side
Yeah,
tangent.
School Days was about like
Yep.
the schism within the black community, the light
Yep.
skin versus
Yep.
dark skin,
Yeah.
new first generation college
Mhm.
attendees versus folks
Yeah.
who have been going there for generations, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's
Good
been
and
on a
bad,
path
good
for
and bad
great.
hair, and all the conflicts within the community. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
If you can't tell, I'm a fan of Spike stuff. We had Terrence
Hello.
Blanchard on here, and we just went all day. All right, I'm going to try to get back to your career here. Yeah, I mean, so you're doing the movies, you did SNL, and you're doing stuff with Miles. You do your own albums, but I want to ask real quick about some of the session stuff. You mentioned Luther. We'll get to him in 1 second because you guys win a Grammy together actually. But even before that, weren't you also playing on? Folks, this is crazy. You're actually on Whitney Houston's Whitney album in '87, the one with "I Want to Dance with Somebody." You're also on Mariah Carey's album with "Vision of Love" and everything. So I want you to settle the debate: Whitney or Mariah, the better voice, one of the best of all time. Who's the better voice? I'm
No,
just gonna get you in trouble.
no, there's no better voice. But Luther called me up and he said, "Come downstairs. I'm coming to pick you up." I was in my apartment. We lived about 5 blocks from each other. Be downstairs in 5 minutes. And he comes, picks me up, drives like 4 blocks to a club. I forgot what the club is called on Amsterdam Avenue. And he sits me right at the foot of the stage. Like I could put my elbow on the stage, right?
Front row.
And in the front row, and the performer was Cissy Houston with
Wow.
her young daughter. Nippy is what that was her nickname,
At the time, yeah.
Whitney Houston.
Wow.
I'm 21. Nippy's probably about 17. And Luther didn't say anything. He just said, just shut up and listen. And man, Sissy started, and then Nippy jumped in there, man. And I was like,
Blown away.
I don't think, I remember that experience like it was yesterday. And Luther said, Clive Davis has promised to make her the next Dionne Warwick, right? And I never saw a prophecy come so true, you
Mm.
know. So she holds a special place in my heart because I saw her from the very beginning,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
And so every time there was a success, I was very proud. Every time she went through trouble, that hurt my heart, you know.
You see the highs of Super Bowl, and you're like, I remember, and then obviously then the tragic passing, it hits you harder. So yeah, you feel it on both fronts. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then Mariah too. I mean, another all time voice. You're back in the backing band. Crazy.
Well, with Mariah, I played the bass for a song called Vision of Love,
Yeah,
right?
remember it well.
And it was with a guy, one guy was the producer, but then they sent it to somebody else. But I think they used like my arrangement of the bass or something like that. I was very proud to be part of that. And then I played on Beyonce's album a couple of years ago. Uh, what was the album called? It's the one where she was just going off on Jay-Z,
Yeah, with the Becky
what's the
with the
album
good hair and all that.
called?
Lemonade.
Yeah. So I also played on Beyonce's Lemonade record. Played on a couple of songs. And so man, I've been lucky, man. I played with Aretha, played with
Yeah,
Shaka, played with for Mariah, for Whitney, and Beyonce. So
that's the Mount Rushmore in whatever
and
order you want to
then
put it.
and then Jay-Z sampled one of the songs from that Suddenly album that you were talking about earlier. And he and Mary J did Can't Knock the Hustle. So I have a little connection.
Can't Knock the Hustle is from your Suddenly. Well, that's awesome.
The sample, yeah, absolutely.
Wow. And probably not a bad little royalty check too.
And then Rihanna and Fat Joe sampled the track from Never Too Much, Luther's Never Too Much, just about
Wow.
3 years ago. And that was a banger too. So I'm doing
Gifts
pretty
that
good.
keep on giving. People
With the
keep the
Divas,
biggest artists keep sampling. It's fantastic.
Roberta Flack. Oh man, I'm just thinking about that now, man. I've
Yeah.
been really lucky to be playing for those folks, man.
You're just realizing this in this moment.
Well,
You've
it's
had
just in terms of like the
yeah,
divas,
yeah,
I
the
didn't
divas.
never put that filter on it.
All the quote
And
unquote
I was
divas.
I was called by Arif Martin, legendary producer
Mhm.
for Atlantic Records. Arif, um, a Turkish guy. He came with the Turkish family. He and his relatives
Mhm.
started Atlantic Records. Anyway, Arif brought me to LA to play on an Aretha Franklin album. This is the first
Yeah,
time I played
yeah.
with Aretha. And so we're cutting the track, and we were there for a week. And at one point, Arif asked Aretha, "Can you go back in the studio and sing additional line for the song?" I'm in the studio packing up my bass because we were done for the day.
Yeah.
But I saw Aretha coming in just singing. The mic is right here, right in front of me.
Yeah.
So I just slowed down like I'm just slowly putting my bass. there was nothing for me to do. I just wanted to hear Aretha's voice right in
You
front of
packed
me.
your bass up the most slow you had in your whole
I
life.
was I was
You're
moving the tuning
stalling.
pegs like that. I'm moving the tuning pegs like that's something you do when you put your bass away. I wasn't doing nothing. Anyway, I was in heaven, man, because I could hear her voice. No
Yeah.
music because she had headphones on, just
Yeah.
her. It was just an amazing experience.
Mm.
So 2 days later, Reef says, Marcus, I need you to add a second bass part to this track we just cut. So I
Wow.
go, cool, man. So I go in the studio, get my bass ready with the headphones to add this second bass part. Into the studio comes Aretha. She gets a folding chair and she sets it up right in front of me and goes like this.
Just, sir, for our listeners who can't see this, just chin on her hand,
She
watching
set
your every
herself up
move.
as close to me as I was to her to show me what it feels like to have somebody staring in your grill while
Turnabout's
you
fair play.
while you but it taught me, man, she said, look, I'm a human being. She didn't say any of this, but this
Yeah.
is what it said to me.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
human being, and you know what? You might consider me like the queen and everything, but I'm a human being, and it's just as uncomfortable for me as it is for you, and I love the fact
Wow. That's
that
a
she never said
great
anything to me.
story.
She just did it,
That
and
is a great story.
could have
Yeah,
been a better.
and rest in peace. If folks, we've had Aretha call into this show too. This was years ago before she passed. I think she was coming to like the Strathmore, in
Mhm.
Bethesda. But definitely check that out in the archives. Find the episode. It's must listen. And actually, now that you mention it, one final thing on Aretha. One of my favorite performances at the Kennedy Center Honors was, that you never know who's going to come out and perform. They surprised the people in the balcony, right? So I think they were honoring Carole King. Yeah, Carole King is sitting up in the balcony. So, and now taking the stage, everyone's waiting to hear Aretha
Right.
Franklin. She
Woo.
sang Natural Woman and belted it to the rap and get goosebumps thinking the Obamas are standing there cheering up there, and
Mhm.
Carole King stands up in the balcony and is motioning like more, like egging her on. I don't know if you've seen it. Look it up on YouTube. It's incredible.
I
So
gotta watch that.
Aretha.
That was the thing about Aretha and the old school vocalists
Yeah.
is that they told a story. A lot of singers now, I call them talent show singers.
Yeah.
The talent show, especially like Showtime at the Apollo, you had to get the audience in the first 30, 40 seconds,
Yeah.
or else the hook man, the Sandman, would come and hook you and pull you off the stage and then
Yeah.
start booing you off the stage. That's talent show singing. But when you're doing a concert, when you're there and people are paid to see you, you got to take them on a journey.
Yeah.
And there's nobody who could take you on a journey like Aretha Franklin or Luther Vandross. You go to
Mm.
Luther Vandross concert, man. By the time he gets to the end of A House Is Not a Home, you're a mess.
Oh.
You're in a puddle of tears,
Mm.
right? Aretha
Oh.
Franklin, she'd start really cool, low octave, and by the time she was finished, man, you were done, and she
Yeah.
was she was a master.
You've mentioned Luther a couple times, and rest in peace for him too. But how are you not crying when he's doing "How I Love to Dance with My Father"? I mean, if you're not crying, something's wrong with you. But you've
He
mentioned him
said,
a
man,
couple.
in the 80s, 82, man, I want to write a song called Dance with My Father. And I couldn't imagine what that song would sound like.
Yeah,
You know, I thought maybe doom, 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 like a
yeah,
old school 70s groove or something like that, but I
yeah.
couldn't imagine. And then fast forward to like the early 2000s, I got to play you something, he said. I said, what? And he played that, man. I said, my goodness, man, this is a song you've been wanting to write all your life.
Yeah.
And then he recorded it, man, and then had a stroke.
Ah,
So he's in the hospital trying to recover from this stroke while that song that he had been wanting to write for his whole life
mm,
is has achieved his dream of having a number one song
yeah.
on the charts. It was just you want to talk about like
Phew.
you know irony.
Oof, I know.
There's a what do you call it a documentary on Luther that just came out this year where I say basically the
Yeah.
same thing that it was a it was a great moment and a tragic moment at the same time.
Well, I mean, through that song or One Shining Moment, every March Madness, he lives on. He's going to be on living forever. I have to ask you. I mean, you've mentioned him a bunch of times. You go way back when you guys were, backing musicians together, and then you go on this journey and become stars, each of your own careers. What was it like to finally win that Grammy together, Best R&B Song with Power of Love / Love Power in '91? Going up there on the stage together, knowing all you'd been through all the way back to the New York days, like that must have been really special.
Yeah, I mean it was super special because like you said, we started as studio musicians. Then we were back up for Roberta Flack, and then we made his demo. So I saw my friend
Yeah.
become an overnight sensation, even though there's no such thing, because he
Yeah.
had been doing the studio background singer
Yeah.
thing for 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's like an iceberg, and he finally had surfaced,
Yeah.
and people were loving him. So it was just incredible to see that and see him manage the life of a star,
Yeah.
because he had to learn how to deal with people coming at him and
Hmm.
all the things that accompany stardom, And so that was incredible. He had some tragedy, he had a car accident that was really tough. So I've seen him at the total height of joy and the total lows, So um, that Grammy was one of the heights because
Yeah.
it's something that he really wanted.
Yeah.
He didn't make no bones about what he wanted.
Yeah.
Like me, I'm too cool to tell you I want a Grammy. Man, I don't need no Grammy, man. Music is the gift. Music is the
Music is the
prize,
gift. Yeah, exactly.
But Luther was like, no, I
He
want
was
my
tickled.
Grammy,
He was
man.
pleased. Yeah, that's great. Well, you say you don't want no Grammy. You did win again on your own for M Squared for Best Contemporary Jazz Album in 2001.
Yeah, man.
But you said you found your own personal expression, POV voice in The Sun Don't Lie in 93, Tails 95. So then the Grammy for M Squared comes after that. So you feel like yourself at that point. Like you know who
Yeah.
Marcus Miller is at that point.
Yeah, it took me longer than it might take some other people because of my studio career. Same with Luther, because he had
Yeah.
10 years of being
Yeah.
a studio singer too. And not everybody can make that transition from a
Yeah.
chameleon to an artist. So I was very pleased that I could pull that off.
Absolutely.
And
Wow.
then helping, I produced an album for Shaka Khan that won a Grammy, Wayne Shorter that
Yeah.
won a Grammy, Miles Davis that won a Grammy. But I was so busy moving on to the next thing, I never even called them to get the Grammy. I was like, oh, I think Wayne won a Grammy for that one.
But you're just full speed. You learned that from Miles Davis. You were on to the next one.
On to the next troubled area.
Yeah, the next troubled area. There you go. Well, man, so many great albums. Like you're saying, on to the next one. There's so many on to the next ones we could talk about. I guess the most recent nomination was for Laid Black. Aphrodisia also recently was nominated. Like you've done a bunch. But before we go in the final seconds, I do want to give you a shout out. I said earlier when we were talking Spike Lee, I love movies, and you've done a bunch of instrumental. The movie scores: Boomerang
Yeah.
for Eddie Murphy, Above the Rim for Tupac, The Sixth Man with the Wayans, Think Like a Man, Kevin Hart, and even Chadwick Boseman as Thurgood Marshall. I mean, you've done it all. So I had to give you props for that.
Thank you, man. And then we reunited with Eddie Murphy last year for Candy Cane Lane, which is a Christmas
I remember
movie.
it. Yeah, funny one on a Christmas movie on Amazon Prime, I think.
It's very cool to write music for Eddie again.
Awesome. Well, I know we're against the clock, so I have to say, everybody, if you've liked any of these songs and love these stories, check out Marcus Miller at the DC Jazz Fest on August 30th at the Wharf, Southwest DC. The whole festival runs August 27th through 31st, so check it out. Hey, this was so much fun chatting with you. I really appreciate all these stories.
Same here, man. Thank you, man.
So much fun. You're the best. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Enjoy.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.